How to identify victims of human trafficking. Let's start with the definition of human trafficking. It's recruitment, transportation, transfer, holding, concealing, harboring, or receipt of a person by means of the threat or use of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, or deception, repeated provision of a controlled substance, the abuse of power or a position of vulnerability, or the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent or of a person having control over another person. It is for the purpose of taking advantage of or exploiting that person, including any forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor, or services, including slavery or practices similar to slavery or the removal of a human organ or tissue. As to who's being trafficked, the spectrum of victim type is vast, literally from a senior manager in a foreign country to upper-class teenagers, and from non-dominant communities to high-risk youth. They can be any age or race. Canada has more domestic cases than international cases. Usually traffickers prey on the marginalized and vulnerable seeking a better life. Victims can include immigrants, refugees, and newcomers, people from the Indigenous community, vulnerable youth at risk, those struggling with addiction and substance dependency, and people from the LGBTQ2S+ community. So how do you identify someone who's a victim of human trafficking? When you're talking to somebody and you suspect labor exploitation, some of the things you might look for include a dependency on the employer for more than employment, such as shelter or food, unreasonable living or working conditions, excessive hours, no access to earnings or no access to personal ID, such as passports. Maybe there's health issues arising from this job, or the job was not as originally described. One thing to keep in mind is some victims may develop loyalties or positive feelings towards their trafficker as a coping mechanism. Other signs to look for include the person appearing malnourished. They show signs of physical injuries or abuse. They avoid eye contact or seem evasive. They appear apprehensive regarding authority figures, including police, and they give scripted or rehearsed responses when asked questions. Also, they may be lacking any personal items or official identification. Sometimes the ID appears to be confiscated by someone else, or they have fake IDs, possibly lying about their age. They seem to be nervous to be in public alone, as demonstrated through facial expression or body language. Branding with tattoos may be noticeable, and they seem new to your location. They don't know where anything is and claims to be new or just visiting. In conclusion, these 5 simple questions can be very effective in identifying victims of human trafficking. Did anyone arrange your travel to Canada, Alberta, or the city? Did anyone where you worked ever make you feel scared or unsafe? Have you ever felt you could not leave the place where you worked? Did anyone where you worked ever trick or pressure you into doing anything you didn't want to? Were you allowed to take breaks where you worked, for example, to eat, use the phone, or use the bathroom? There are many organizations across Alberta and Canada dedicated to assisting victims of human trafficking. Currently, Justice and Solicitor General Victim Services has an e-learning module with more information and a detailed list of these resources. You can contact us at victims.programs@gov.ab.ca, or if it is an emergency and you feel immediate help is required, please call the police or 911 first. You can also dial 211 to find local supports.